The Gilded Age Season 3 culminates in a drama-filled finale with Episode 8, My Mind is Made Up. In a daring gesture, Bertha, Carrie Coon, throws a ball that unites the majority of the individuals and defies social conventions. Marian, Louisa Jacobson, and Larry, Harry Richardson, are at odds after the cliffhanger ending of Episode 7, Peggy's, Denée Benton, relationship with William Kirkland, Donica, appears to be doomed, and, most critically, George, Morgan Spector, is bleeding out. With so much happening, the finale has a lot to cover as it brings the storylines of Season 3 to a close and establishes intriguing possibilities for Season 4. The Season 3 conclusion of The Gilded Age provides all the drama viewers have been anticipating and, happily, puts a stop to the series' run of potentially fatal cliffhangers. George is taken to the Russell residence, injured but alive, after the gunshot that left him in a condition of uncertainty at the end of Episode 7. Bertha demands that the attack remain silent despite the dire circumstances. Dr. William Kirkland, who lives across the street, is offered services by Bannister, Simon Jones. William rushes over to save George since Bertha doesn't care about his race, and Marian goes too because she wants to be with the family. William performs surgery on George with few instruments and no medicine, successfully extracting the bullet and stabilizing his patient. When Dr. Logan, Dylan Baker, the Russells' physician, shows up the following morning, too late to be of assistance, he affirms that George's life was saved by William's prompt action, and George gives the young physician the recompense he deserves. George quickly regains control of the situation, even though his recovery is gradual. Bertha's decision not to call the police is reinforced when Richard Clay, Patrick Page, whom he suspects of participation, sends his own colleagues to look into his former employee. George insists Bertha host the gala in order to conceal his injury from the public. George's injuries temporarily unites the Russell family, despite their continued division. Since Ada took over as the new head of the household, Agnes, Christine Baranski, and Ada, Cynthia Nixon, had been at odds, but at the end of Season 3, Agnes is shown embracing her new position. To avoid acknowledging her financial loss, Agnes has been avoiding Mrs. Foster, Marceline Huguet, of the New York Heritage Society. However, Ada extends an invitation to her. Ada found out that Mrs. Foster wants Agnes to be the vice president of the Heritage Society because of her remarkable family background, which may appear cruel. Ada is the leader of the family in every way when Agnes, thrilled by the offer, gives in to her sister. It's a nice moment between the sisters, but it's a flimsy compromise because it only happens when Agnes has another place to be in charge. The rest of the house can be content now that Agnes is. A few episodes ago, Jack's, Ben Ayler's, main plot came to an end when he quit his job as a footman to begin a new life. However, in a moment that suggests Bridget, Taylor Richardson, is still interested in him, he goes back to see his former co-workers in the finale. This is verified when she calls his home, where Jack admits that he feels safer with her there and treats her more like a guest than a servant. Fans now have another relationship to cheer for, and the touching moment between them suggests what Jack's next adventure may be now that he has succeeded as an inventor. Season 3 has seen Marian and Larry go through a lot, from concealing their romance to getting engaged to splitting up, and the season finale introduces a fresh twist. Larry feels she should have trusted Jack, but Marian acknowledges her error after learning the truth from him. Ada wins Agnes over to the couple's concept, therefore there is some positive outcome to the argument. Additionally, after George's terrifying near-death experience persuades Bertha of Marian's deservingness, the two ladies who had previously been at odds push Marian to mend the connection by removing the family's hurdles. Marian doesn't want to attend the Russells' ball because she believes Larry is ultimately responsible for any reconciliation. She is persuaded by her family, though, and she and Larry are able to speak there. Although they both express regret for their part in the split, Larry worries about the problems it raised and the possibility that they will reappear. Larry and Marian take a step toward reconciliation, giving the pair hope and laying the groundwork for more drama in the future, even though they decide not to renew their engagement. Marian doesn't want to attend the Russells' ball because she believes Larry is ultimately responsible for any reconciliation. She is persuaded by her family, though, and she and Larry are able to speak there. Although they both express regret for their part in the split, Larry worries about the problems it raised and the possibility that they will reappear. Larry and Marian take a step toward reconciliation, giving the pair hope and laying the groundwork for more drama in the future, even though they decide not to renew their engagement. With the death of John Adams, Claiborne Elder, and the return of Maud Beaton, Nicole Britton Bloom, Season 3 has not been kind to Oscar, Blake Ritson, but he eventually wins in the conclusion. An idea comes after meeting Mrs. Winterton, Kelly Curran, who has recently become a widow. Oscar uses Marian's reluctance to go as leverage to get Mrs. Winterton an unexpected invitation to Bertha's gala. There, Oscar tells Mrs. Winterton all of his intentions and suggests a marriage that would benefit both parties, allowing him to access her newfound wealth and keeping her in the spotlight. He proposes that every one of them own a home where they are free to live however they choose. Oscar has the chance of an almost honest marriage because Mrs. Winterton finds the notion intriguing, even though it isn't finalized. Dr. William Kirkland has given Peggy her first significant romantic plot point in Season 3, although the previous episode left them in a vulnerable position after he discovered Peggy's past through his mother, Mrs. Kirkland, Felicia Rashad. When William presses Peggy for the truth, she confesses to an annulled marriage and an adopted child she was unaware of. Unfortunately, William thinks it makes his mother's case against them stronger, and Peggy expects the worst when he departs, saying he needs time to think. However, Dorothy, Audra MacDonald, is upset with Mrs. Kirkland and expresses this to her when they cross paths. Dorothy criticizes her critical actions and maintains that William was never deserving of Peggy if her deceptive tactics are sufficient to convince him of this. However, Dorothy is not the only person who confronts Mrs. Kirkland. Mr. Kirkland, Brian Stokes Mitchell, concurs with their son, William, who is upset with his mother for spreading false information about Peggy. With his father's support, William takes his own decision when he denounces her actions. William offers Peggy a potentially happy ending to their whirlwind romance when he asks Arthur, John Douglas Thompson, for her hand in marriage at the ball for his father's church. However, the episode ends before she responds. As the host of the Newport end-of-season party, Bertha is at the top of society despite all the issues in her family. For the occasion, even Gladys, Thaisa Farmiga, and Hector, Ben Lamb, make a comeback. The forced marriage has worked out well for the unusual couple, and Hector surprises Gladys by rehiring Adelheid, Aaron Wilhelmi. By revealing Gladys' pregnancy at the end of Season 3, the pair may be set up for success. Bertha's event receives more attention since she takes a chance by attempting to influence society and how divorced women are treated. She intends to invite divorced women, even though Mrs. Astor, Donna Murphy, says it will destroy their society. For Charlotte Astor, Hannah Shealy, and Aurora Fane, Kelly O'Hara, this is a terrible but exhilarating opportunity. Aurora goes in spite of her reluctance, and Charlotte goes against her mother's wishes. The social leader shows up late to make amends with her daughter, but Bertha feels she has failed when Charlotte shows up without Mrs. Astor. Even Mrs. Fish, Ashley Atkinson, maintains at the end of the evening that Mrs. Astor owes Bertha for providing Charlotte with a future. Whether Mrs. Astor likes it or not, Bertha's position as a social leader is cemented by her acceptance of this shift. Bertha's personal life is a complete mess, despite her social success. George goes to the ball, where Bertha swoons over him, but the next day, he quickly leaves, stating that he is still upset with Bertha and that they are no longer together. The Russells are in a difficult situation since, despite Gladys' happiness, he isn't ready to forgive what happened and isn't sure what he wants. Although there isn't a happy ending for everyone in the Gilded Age, the season's finale brings the most recent plotlines to a close and heightens interest in the upcoming episode.